Okay, welcome everyone to our session. This is Keeping Up with Maths with Tiamo, and today we are learning about financial maths. The topic I'll be doing is very basic and it's very important to any person in grade 10 and grade 11. You almost do the similar thing at the beginning, but of course with grade 11 and grade 12 it becomes a bit interesting. So financial maths, it's mostly when we calculate loans. I hope you can see what I'm writing there. When we calculate loan, let's say you took a loan and you want to pay it at a certain amount of period at a given interest. We'll be calculating those things, and most importantly, or in most cases, we'll be calculating investments. Investments is like you put in money in a bank at a certain interest at a certain period, and you want to know how much is going to accumulate to. You want to know the future value. If I put in 300 rands today, how much will it be after 20 years? That's what we're basically doing. So the whole part of financial mathematics is based on two things. It's based on the simple interest, yeah, I hope that's the spelling, and then compound interest. So basically every question that we'll be calculating, it will fall either in one of the two. So under simple interest, we have higher purchase. Higher purchase is when they tell you that maybe you want to buy a laptop, or you want to buy a TV, you want to buy a cell phone. It's usually under higher purchase. So once you read the statement and you see this word, you know that you're going to use which formula? The simple interest formula. And then compound interest, when they tell you about inflation, increase of prices, they tell you that oil is increasing, the price of petrol, what, that's inflation. We're going to use the compound interest formula. They tell you about what? Population growth. Once you see those words, population growth, you know that you are dealing with those things. And okay, when we do questions, you're gonna see what else falls under here. I think exchange rates also applies under this. So once you read a question and you read these words, compound interest, or they talk about inflation or population growth, or all of this, you know that which formula you're gonna apply, the compound interest formula. So what is the formula of the simple interest equation? So the formula is, I hope you can see what I'm writing there. The formula is A equals to P, open bracket, 1 plus I times N. So let's analyze this one. Usually when they write it out, they say you're labeling out the pain. So the pain. So you can see, I just wrote them in this order because of the word pain. But you can see we want to analyze each letter, what it stands for. So P stands for the present value. It's the present value, or the principal value, principal amount. That's the amount that you have currently. That's the amount, like let's say you want to make an investment. You have 300. Currently, you have 300. That will be your present value, or your principal amount, the starting amount. And A is actually called the accumulated amount. Accumulated amount. It's the money that you're going to accumulate, you're going to get over time. But most textbooks and most people, they like to call it the future value. So when we calculate A, we're actually calculating the value that you're going to have in the future, the money that you're going to have in the future. Okay, quickly, I stands for what? The interest. So the interest or the interest that you are being charged. Yes, interest. And the interest, let's say they say that the interest rate charged or the interest rate that you are earning is 5%. When you're going to use it on the calculator, you have to change it into a percentage. It's either going to use 5 over 100 or you're going to use what? 0.05. Because of 5%, this sign simply says over 100. So you're going to use this one or that one because of you can press it on a calculator like this, but 5% actually means what? 5 over 100, or in a decimal form, it's 0.05. And N is the period. Period, they can tell you that this money, you're putting the money in years. You can put the money in months. You can put the money in what? In days. So everything goes there. As long as we are talking about a certain number of period, a period number, we know that it can be years or what. It can be months, it can be days, it can be all of that. So when you see N, we're going to be putting the number of years, the number of months, the number of days. So this is actually the formula for what? For simple interest. And then now we want to do the formula for what? For compound interest. So the formula for compound interest is very similar to this one. It's actually given like this. P A equals to P open bracket 1 plus I your interest to the exponent N. Now this one is raised to the power. Can you see? That's what makes it different. Look at this one and then look at that one. How are they different? This one is the compound interest. And we're going to see when we do calculations, the simple interest and the compound interest, they differ. This interest is earned on the original amount. The interest that you're being charged or the interest that you're being charged, it is fixed on the initial amount. With this one, the interest or the money grows every year if it's per year. So if let's say you started with 500, next year it's 200, it's 200 profit, then it's maybe 700. The interest that you're going to earn now, it's not based on the initial amount, it's based on the money that you have currently, which is 700. But you're going to see when we do examples. So this one, the interest is on the original amount. This one, the interest grows with the money. So the current amount is the one that you grow. So with this one, you always have more money. So when you're investing, you make more money when it's compound. You make less money when it's simple interest. When you are paying a loan, you are being charged more if you are under compound interest, and they are being charged less, obviously. That I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not confusing anyone here. So pain, you label your pain. So you're going to see when we do the questions, the first thing is to label out the given information in your statement, and then you identify, let me just put it like that. You identify what you are looking for. So still P is the principal amount, if you still remember. A is what? The future value or the accumulated amount. I is the interest, and N is your period. It's the number of years or months or days or hours, whatever. I hope you get it. So let's do the questions now. I hope you understand. This is the formula. You need to know this formula. You need to memorize. You need to cram it. Do everything to know this formula for compound interest. And the other one is for what? Is for simple interest. So let's start with the first question. The first question is here. I'm going to show it's very basic, very easy. Nothing hectic here. Let's read the question. So the first question, if you can look there, example 1, we are calculating the value of A. So A is, you still remember what is A? A is the future value. So Let's read the question and then I'm going to show you how you actually answer the question. 5,000 is invested in a bank. The accumulated amount is, what am I saying? 5,000 is invested in a bank. The accumulated amount after 3 years. Okay, something is missing. They're supposed to say 5,000 is invested in a bank. Calculate the accumulated. Sorry about that. Calculate the accumulated amount after 3 years if the interest end is 3.75% per annum, simple interest. So we're going to use simple interest formula. And then we do the same calculation, 3.75% per annum for what? For compound interest. So we're going to start with the first question. So obviously for A, we're using simple interest. So what you're going to do in the test, you start by writing out the formula. The formula for simple interest is A equals to P equals to P open bracket 1 plus I times N. Here, I usually like to put times so that you know that in between the interest and the period, you are multiplying. Here you are adding, there you are multiplying. So then the next thing you do is to label your pain. You label your pain according to the given information. 5,000 is invested according to the statement, meaning currently the money that was put in the bank was how much? 5,000. So is it the future value or the present value? You read the question and the question is going to explain that. So 5,000 is actually the present value. It's the money that you have currently. And then the question said calculate the accumulated amount. So actually we are looking for A. The interest rate is what? 3.75%, which I can write as what? If you were listening to what I said there, 3.75 over 100. Or you can make it 0.0375. And then how many years is it invested? Is invested for 3 years. And then what are you going to do now? You're going to substitute in the formula. So this formula right there, P equals to 1IN. In the place of P, where I see P, I'm going to put how much? 5,000. Open bracket 1 plus I is how much? I have to take this one. So 3.75 over 100 times N. N is the number of years. In this case, it's 3 years. Then you're going to put this whole thing in a calculator and you actually get your answer. So I'm going to do it here. I hope you can see. So it's 5,000. Open bracket 1 plus 3.75 over 100 times 3 close bracket as the 5,562.5. So that's your answer right there. 5,000, sorry about that, 625. Can you all see it? Now we have to do what? The compound interest. So the compound interest, I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to put a line over there and I do B. B, we are on compound interest. I want you to compare the answers and you're going to see what I was talking about. The formula for compound interest is 1 plus IN. In the place of P, now you understand you need to label your pain. So you do this for each question. So P is 5,000. You put a question mark to the one that you're looking for so that you know which one you are dealing with. Interest, still the same, 7.5%, which you can write as 7.75 over 3.75 over 100, and it's 3. So I'm going to substitute 5,000 there, 1 plus 3.75 over 100, raised to an exponent right now. The exponent is 3. Can you see? This one, n was inside. This one is raised to an exponent there. Then we press this whole thing in the calculator. How much are we going to get? 5,000, 1 plus bracket, okay, 3.75 over 100, close bracket, exponent, what? 3, can you all see? 5,583. It's not much of a difference, but every cent counts, right? 86, yes. So you can see 562 rand, this one. So you see this one is a bit higher because of it is a compound interest. So each and every year, the money grows on the current value of the amount. As opposed to this one, every year the interest is earned on the 5,000 and not on the current value. Do you see it now? Okay, I hope you understand. Let's go on to another question. We're gonna do 2 more questions, and then I think that will be it for now. That will be it for now. We are still trying to get comfortable with using the 2 formulas. We are still trying to know how to calculate each and every part of the formula. You need to be able to calculate the future value, the present value, the interest, and the period. So in this question, example 2 now, look at what's written there. We are calculating P. What is P? P is the present value or the initial amount. So let's read the question. 5 years ago, already they're telling you something there. So something happened 5 years ago, a certain amount. We don't know how much money was invested. So 5 years ago, it's like the present at that time. You see, 5 years ago, a certain amount of money was invested in a bank. The value of the investment is currently 200,000. Calculate the original amount invested if the interest was 5% per annum at simple interest. So, what is it saying? Let's start with the first question. Okay, I didn't write pain, but it's fine. So what is it saying? 5 years ago, there was a certain amount that was invested. The money grew to 200,000. So the 200,000 is actually the accumulated amount. It's the money that you have after you invested the certain amount. So in this case, it makes sense when they say A is the accumulated amount. It's not always the future value, but it makes sense when we say it's the accumulated amount. It's the money that you have now from the money that you invested. So I'm going to say A is how much? 200,000. 1, 2, 3. The original amount, the principal amount, we don't know it. That's what we are looking for. The interest is what? It's 5%. And I always write it like that as a fraction over 100. And then how many years? 5 years ago. So the number of years is 5 years. We are using the simple interest formula. I hope you know it by now. 1 plus P, open bracket, 1 plus IN. And you know there's a multiplication in between. So you're going to just substitute. In the place of A now, I'm not calculating A. I actually have the value of A. It's 200,000. P is what I'm looking for. 1 plus I is how much? 5 over 100 times 5. So in this case, please listen carefully. You can either work out what's inside of the bracket, or you can just divide both sides by the bracket. Now remember your simple algebra. If you're given a question like this, let's say you have 3 and here you have okay, can I just make this one an 8 and x there? You are looking for x. If you are given an equation and they say solve for x, what are you going to do? You're going to divide both sides by what? By 2. 2 and 2 is 1. X is how much? Is 4. Can you all see? Why? Because you are looking for this one. So you're going to divide by the coefficient of x in this case, because we want to isolate the unknown variable there. So in this case, same principle applies here. We are looking for p. So this whole thing here, you're going to divide by it both sides so that this p remains alone. So as I said, you can work out what's inside the bracket, put everything in the bracket first, then divide later on, or just straight away divide by the whole bracket. So I'm just going to do that. 1 plus 5 over, so 5 times 5 becomes 25,000. You can do it 25, not 25,000. You can do it if you're not sure. 1 plus 25 over 100. And then this and this obviously goes out. We are left with what? P equals to, yeah, it's like I'm writing backwards now. 1 plus 25 over 100, close bracket. This, the left-hand side and the right-hand side are the same. So you can just flip it, if you can see. You can just take this one, put it there, take this one, put it there. So P is actually 200,000 over 1 plus 25 over 100. And then you press this whole thing in a calculator. Yeah, I think I'm going to end there because I don't want to make the video too long, but I was just too slow there, so that if you don't know what you're doing, at least you have an idea of these questions. They are very, very simple. You just need to be able to read the question carefully, analyze the question. So 160,000. So initially this person invested this amount of money 5 years back, and then now the money accumulated to 200,000. I think I'm going to do one more question quickly. So the same question, you can do it using the compound interest. Look at the compound interest is like this. So you're going to substitute everything, substitute A, substitute inside the bracket, substitute your end there. What we're looking for is P. Then after, you're going to divide both sides by that whole thing. And P is equals to A N. You just substitute everything inside this, you get the value of P. I hope you can see it. What you need to do, just substitute everything and get the answer right there. And then you can even send us the answer when you're done. Let me do one more question and then I'll be done, because I don't want to make people sleep. So let's do this one quickly. So in this case, we are calculating what? I. So as I said, you need to be comfortable with calculating each and every part of the question. So obviously what you need to know is making every variable of the formula, or every variable in the formula, the subject of the formula. You need to make, you need to be able to make I or N the subject of the formula. So in this case, let's just go straight into it. I'm going to do compound interest. If you can do this one, then you can do that one, because that one is much easier. Joseph invests how much? 18,000. So that becomes your principal amount, the amount that initially put. It grows to 25,000 over a period of how many years? 2 years. Calculate the interest rate to 1 decimal place if the investment end. Firstly, simple interest, and secondly, compound interest. So I'm going to do this one right away. I'm not even going to waste time on this one. P equals to 1 plus I to the exponent n. We label our what? Our pain. Yes, our pain. So 18,000 right there. Accumulated value is what? 25,000. We're looking for this one. They gave us n is 2 according to the statement. So you need to read your sentence and identify what is given and what you're supposed to calculate. So you can either do two things here. You can either make I the subject of the formula immediately, or you can do what? You can substitute your values and then continue to work it out up until you find I. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make I the subject of the formula first and substitute later on. So the first thing I'm going to do you're going to divide both sides by p. When you divide both sides by p, obviously it's going to be 1 there, and then actually you have a over p equals to 1 over in. Now in this case, what are we going to do? We want to get rid of n. So n, how do you do it? It's either you're going to do the root or you rationalize by multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of this. So I prefer doing that, but other people, they do the root. It's fine, perfectly fine. It's the same thing actually. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of n, which is 1 over n. In this case also 1 over n. So n and n is going to go out. So in that case, what am I left with in that side? I'm left with 1 plus I. I hope you can all see it. And then in this case, a over p, 1 over n. So this, you can write it as this. Can I just write it here? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If maybe your teacher does it like that, this and that are exactly the same. Nothing different there. Nothing different at all. Okay, all right. Then what are we going to do? Obviously, we want I to be alone. And here, it's not a multiplication. It's a plus. So when it's a plus, you are able to transpose to the other side. And when you transpose to the other side, it changes sign. So if it's a plus, we move in the 1. The 1 is positive. It goes there. It becomes a negative. So we actually have this 1 over n. I hope you can see, minus 1 equals to I. This means that I is actually accumulated amount over the present amount raised to 1 over n minus 1. Then I'm just going to substitute and we get our answer there. We are done with this video. So, okay. What is the future value? I'm going to put it there. 25,000. N was P was how much? 18,000. Okay, then I'm gonna put all this whole thing in a bracket, raised to 1 over n, which is 1 over 2, and minus 1. So you need to be careful when you put such a question. Make sure you're not missing out anything. Can you see the answer is 0,0111? Then obviously this is the interest. We're looking for the interest rate. We want it as a percentage. So I'm going to multiply it by how much? By 100. And then they said to 1 decimal place. So actually I didn't substitute here. Let's do it quickly. 5,000 over 18,000. 1 over 2 minus 1. The answer is 17.9%. That's your rate right there. Okay, I believe that's your, is it your I or your R? But you understand what I'm saying. Yes, right there. So that's your answer. That's how you do. It's exactly the same for n. When you're calculating n, it doesn't change. In grade 10 and in grade 11, you don't calculate n for compound interest, because you have to use logs and all of that. But you have to be able to calculate the interest when you're given A and P and 2. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this was helpful to you. Do as many questions as possible. This is a very, very, very easy topic, but it needs a lot of practice so that you're comfortable with working with the two formulas. You don't mix up the formulas. You don't mix up your calculation right there, and you're going to enjoy this topic. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Tell someone to subscribe. Share the video. And I'm going to post more videos on the same topic. Thank you.